And we're back with AP as we see it, and we were discussing the March Madness for the SEC men and the SEC women's basketball teams. Before we get into our continue our show, we want to mention our sponsors: Greer's Markets, Alabama, Florida, Mississippi, 29 locations. They have Lucy's Famous Recipes, and she has a book that you can purchase online. They have the groceries to go that delivers to your home, your office or venues, football, family, and friends. But now with the basketball, you're having those basketball parties. Watch your favorite SEC men's and women's teams. You can click on groceries to go and have things from Greer's delivered. You have the weekly specials online. You have the coloring contest monthly for the children. You also have the special occasions, the holidays, the birthdays, the anniversaries. Considers Greer's to purchase all those fresh items, the produce, the dinner essentials, delicious food, and the snacks at unbeatable prices. And for March Madness, they had the Greer's bracket competition where you can win the prizes. So remember, Greer's got it. They guarantee it. And also, we want to thank the Wind Creek Casinos, the 3 Alabama locations. That is Atmore, Montgomery, Wetumpka. You could sign up at any location to be a player. And they also have the various amenities at the different locations, the restaurants and dining, the cinema, the spa. You have the bowling. You have live performances, cooking school. You have the events at the amphitheater, the A-list concerts, and, of course, the beautiful hotels. So there's fun for everyone at Wind Creek Casino, the 3 Alabama locations, Atmore, Montgomery, and Wetumpka. And like I said, check out each various location because they do have different amenities at each one. But like I said, there's fun for everyone at one of the 3 Wind Creek locations, Atmore, Montgomery, and Wetumpka. But we just want to get back to that March Madness business. Just a word of advice for people who are new to basketball. I know the SEC fans, they know how to travel. There's no question that they find the hotels and the places to stay. But in basketball, if you think your team has a chance to get to the Final Four, I would suggest booking your flights and booking those hotels so you could have an advantage. Of some people wait till the last minute, but I would say it's always good to have your reservations for the hotel, your flights, your transportation, to do that in advance because you'll have an advantage over other people trying to be at those games. But if you've never been to a Final Four, it's a lot of fun. I've been to the Final Four in the women. It was way back in 1994. Richmond, Virginia, Alabama played in the Final Four. It was Louisiana Tech. One of the assistants for Louisiana Tech was Kim Mulkey, by the way, at North Carolina and also Purdue. And North Carolina was the eventual winner on a last-second three-point shot to win the game by Charlotte Smith of North Carolina. They didn't have to take that three-point shot, but that's what they attempted, and it was less than 1 second. It was really exciting. And I've been to other Final Fours across the country, looking forward to this year for the men's side in San Antonio. So, but if you've never been to a Final Four, it's a great event. Especially Saturday, it really is the best day where you have the 4 teams, the semifinals, and all the fans are really excited because all their fans think they have a chance to win, which they do. But that's the best day, Friday and Saturday. You can watch the teams practice. I believe on Friday, the public is allowed to watch an hour run through at the venue. So it'll be in San Antonio this year for the men, Tampa for the women. So if you never had a chance, they're in 2 warm weather places, hopefully, San Antonio and Tampa in April. And plan your trip now, and I think you really enjoy it. You won't regret it. I've never regretted it covering any of these big-time events, the Final Fours in men's basketball or women's basketball. But we're going to take a little deviation from basketball right now, get back to some football, college football. And one of the trends that's been happening in college football is to hire a general manager. And you say, why should we hire a general manager? Well, you have the infusion of money. And when you have the infusion of money, it's, I believe, the best design for your organization is to have the coach separated from that negotiation. For instance, Sam Pittman, he hired somebody to do that negotiation. He does not want to be a part of it face to face. Of course, the person negotiating the contracts and I call them contracts, the NIL, the name, image, and likeness money, they're going to consult with the head coach, the assistants, because they have a finite amount of funding, and they're going to try to divvy it up and see how much is a quarterback, how much is a left tackle, how much is a edge rusher, a starting cornerback, a cover cornerback, exceptional wide receiver, running back. You have to come up with those numbers and figure out from your funding and your budget who should receive the money. And just like it's always been in professional football, and sports are professionalized at the college level, who should receive the money? And you say, what does that mean? Who should receive the money? Well, some players, after they receive the money, they're not as motivated. They're happy to receive the money, and their effort it dwindles. They don't put forth the best effort game in, game out practices. They don't practice well once they receive that NIL money. So like every good coach, that's another key to your evaluation. Who should receive the money? We can count on that player to not only be very good at the position, but be a leader on the team, practicing hard every day, every down, every practice. You're giving your best effort, and you're being a leader out there on the field, on the court, whatever the competition may be for your sport. But that's a very difficult thing sometimes, because you're not around people, especially you have the transfer portal. You don't have the time to visit with them. You can't talk to as many people as you would like to investigate their background, their character. But you better know their practice habits and what they contribute to the team, the intangibles. If you can measure the speed, the height, the strength, but can you measure what's in a person's heart? That's a little bit trickier. There's some deception sometimes that can occur, and you're giving money to people that turns out to be a bad deal for the program, because they're not good leaders. They don't practice hard, and they just want to sign on the dotted line and receive their money, and they coast. And that'll kill your program eventually over time. It's something that most coaches they want to get rid of those people. But in the transfer portal, that's one thing. The coaches, not only they're accepting players from other teams, but they're getting rid of people who they gave a scholarship to a couple of years, and that person, it's not worked out for them. So it works both ways. The coaches, they complain a lot about the transfer portal, but believe me, they're taking advantage on the other side of trimming their rosters of players that they don't think that can compete on their team or in their league to help them win a championship. So that's a two-sided coin for coaches. You hear about them always complaining about the transfer portal, but believe me, they utilize that portal to improve their team. So it's 1-year deals, 1-year contracts, and that's the nature of the sport right now. And those who can apply that rule, the transfer portal, the NIL, they will succeed. Those who sit back and complain, they're probably going to be moving on very rapidly. But those are the major changes in college football. But they've hired different general managers, and when we come back in our next segment, we're going to probably go over some of the general managers that were hired by SEC teams, and they have different backgrounds, and you'll see that every coach gets to make the decision, and they search far and wide. And when we go over this list, you're going to understand after I give you some of the people and their backgrounds who are now general managers in the Southeastern Conference. But the model coming from the NFL is usually you have the owner, you have the general manager, who many times has hired the head coach. So that's a trio that must be in harmony. In college football, you have the president, you have the athletic director who's hired the head coach, then the head coach is hiring the general manager. The general manager is important in college football right now with the influx of the transfers and the NIL situation. The general manager is very important, but it's not like the general manager in professional sports, because the general manager usually has hired the coach in most cases. So they have a lot of power and influence with the owner. And that's why it's important before the owner, when he fires a coach, he wants to make sure either he retains that general manager or he brings in a general manager and allows that general manager in consultation with the owner to select a new coach. But in college athletics, you have the president, you have the athletic director of athletics. They hire the coach. The coach is already established, and now in this new era, these $1 million coaches, they're having to hire general managers, some of them for the very first time. So it's a different dynamic in college than it is professionally, but it's the same model where you're working in conjunction with the general manager. If you're a college coach, I think you want to separate yourself from the negotiation with the NIL because, as we know, the main thing players are requesting now or inquiring about before signing on the dotted line is, what is my number? And it's not their jersey number. It's the name, image, and likeness number. But anyway, we're going to be back after these messages with AP as we see it.